Hi, today I'm going to show you and demonstrate how a simple voting app can be built using PantherChain. We have all seen how PantherChain is used and how it works as a blockchain framework for all kinds of purposes. Today I'm building a simple voting mechanism using PantherChain. Okay, let's look at the PantherChain interface. So PantherChain can be seen here as follows, right? This is PantherChain installed in my local Linux box. We can also use pantherchain.fiu.edu, which hosts a similar setup. We see that the set of transactions here are listed. We have the hash, the nonce, the previous hash, etc. listed. Okay, so we can view the blockchain and all the sets of transactions on it. We can look at each wallet. We can look at the mining interface here where you can select transactions and move it um, to here. Okay, so before we do that, let's basically walk through the source code of a simple voting app. Here I have votes.htm, which is the source code for creating votes. This is installed using Apache. For those of you who know web programming, note that this is a simple voting interface which has about 4 or 5 buttons for tracking votes. Let's look at how this looks. I'm again going to use my local host slash votes.htm. Okay, so this is a voting client. So we have 4 voters: voter 1, voter 2, voter 3, and voter 4, and a tab that says total. So each time a voter comes and clicks on something, on a button, say either yes or no, he can do it. So here basically it'll give you a message saying thanks for voting, wait for the full process to get over before it is mined, so on and so forth. I've by default set some values to yes and some values to no for the voting question. So I voted 3 and finally voted 4. Okay, so what we see here is 4 votes have been submitted. So all of this code, let's get back to the source code that does this. E I will edit the ajvotes.php. Okay, so what I have here is a unique user ID which is 8881, and I have each of these voters. Voter 1 is set to yes, voter 2 is set to yes, voter 3 is set to no, voter 4 is set to no. And then I have a track, a program which does it for displaying all the votes. Okay, so here what I see is for voter 1, I see that the candidate is Mr. Tom Britz, and I basically take the input as a vote, either a yes or no, whether you vote yes or vote no for this particular candidate, and then I give this message saying thanks for voting, so on and so forth. Okay, so what this effectively does is there are two parts. One is it basically uses the get key API. So get key is actually a function which basically requests the PantherChain system to actually retrieve the private and public keys of this particular voter, so that the public key can actually be used to record each individual's vote. So if you see this, there's a public key which is basically retrieved, and this is actually used to store the vote. Okay, so I also have a curlet function wherein I can add the corresponding vote using the PantherChain slash add JSON request. So what happens here is there is a post request that happens to the um, uh, PantherChain, wherein all the information, the vote is actually submitted as a JSON file to PantherChain. Okay, now let's go back to PantherChain interface and see what happens here. Here is the PantherChain system. Let me reload uh, this thing, and here I see the different votes recorded. So I have the candidate as Mr. Tom Bretz, and the first user uh, with the wallet public key signed as FC928 has voted yes. The second voter with the wallet ID 2798B has voted yes. Third voter has voted no, but his wallet public key is F519D1. The fourth voter has voted no. Uh, it is signed as 2137B as a public key. I select all these transactions, into the mining pool now, like this. Just click and select all of these, and then I click on mine selected transactions, and it says that all the transactions are mined successfully. If I would want to see the blockchain, I can click here, view the blockchain, and I can see that all of these four IDs correspond to the unique user ID Mr. Tom Bretz as a candidate, and the user ID is 8881, and I vote here. Okay, so all of these are shown. Now I go back to the voting web client and say I am this administrator. I want to look at all of these votes and tally them at some point, so on and so forth.